Here we are in Fox Labs. I've got RadFxSat, also known as Fox-1B. I'm going to pack her up, run a preflight init, which is a software check through the umbilical that makes sure that it is in the mode for launch, and then I'll stick it in a box and ship it off to Bob. So I thought I'd turn on the camera. We don't have a conference call or anything, so I probably won't be saying much, but here we go. And so, start with some Z solar panel covers. Things are stubborn if you don't have fingertips just right. The little Allen gets caught in the gloves pretty easy. Right. And now some X. Come here. thread the RBF pin cord through that. The solar panel covers are simply to help keep anything from contacting the solar cells because they are very fragile. They can be cracked easily. And of course, when I take them outside in the sun to test it, I need to have it off in order to get the best sun, since on Earth the sun is already impeded by the atmosphere. So that means you just handle it very carefully. Now with the solar panel covers on, I don't think we actually sold any for RadFxSat, but if you're still interested in making a donation, you can, I believe, $1,000 to buy an entire solar panel. And what you get in return is the actual solar panel cover that is used to cover one of the solar panels, engraved with your call sign and I believe the launch date and things. So I don't, like I said, I don't think that anybody has bought any for Fox-1B RadFxSat, so you're in the mood to donate. Check out the AMSAT website about how to get a solar panel for Fox-1B. And if you don't find the information there, try emailing AMSAT BB, and one of our guys will pick up on it, I'm sure, and be able to answer the question. Now, we're down to an interesting part here. I need to stow the receive antenna, but I am not going to tie the receive antenna because it's not my job. In other words, what happens is Bob Davis, our mechanical engineer, will actually tie the antennas because he is the official knot tyer, does a really good job of making sure that we have the right amount of fishing line, the right amount of tension for the official deploy in space. So what I do is I temporarily tie it here, and this will actually go to Bob for a couple days before he forwards it on to Tyvek for the shock testing. And he will tie the antennas down, perform a final set of measurements to make sure that everything is within the volume requirements for a 1U CubeSat, and then he'll ship it on to Tyvek for the shock testing next week. So I'll use a little bit of Kapton tape, and if I can do this in a reasonable manner, I will essentially stow the receive antenna, but rather than tying a knot like we would do for flight, I will hold it down, sort of, with a piece of Kapton tape. I could have held it down a little better if I could do this without losing the thread. I will try it again. Come on. Come on. You little booger. That's a little better. I do need to make sure that it is in contact with the post that indicates that the antenna is stowed, and I think that will do the trick. And now I'll put the Y panel cover on. The Y panel covers don't actually have any screws because they are, that's a Z, pardon me. I guess they're the same. Anyway, because we got these standoffs here for the antenna, there are no places, and of course the antenna has to unfurl, so you can't have the little posts that you would screw the panel cover to, like we do with the other sides, the X's. So what we do is we put the cover on, and then we use the Kapton tape again to secure it to the X and the Z panels, covers that is. And that's how we secure the Y panel cover. It rests on those antenna standoffs, and then it's just secured to the adjacent panel covers. Somebody liked my tweet. If anybody's watching, you could tweet that we're live on the air. I didn't do that before I started, and since I have my gloves on now, I can't touch my cell phone or I'll get them all fingerprinted. Because you know how cell phones are. They're all fingerprinted. So yeah, please tweet that we're on the air. Or maybe I'll take a break after I get this panel covers on and wash off my cell phone and send a tweet myself. So if you saw Facebook or Twitter, RadFxSat was out in the sun earlier today. We had good sun in the morning, and then 30 minutes after I took it out there, it started getting cloudy. As usual, as soon as I walked outside, I caused instability and lift in the atmosphere. We started getting cumulus clouds, but they came and went, so it was able to get some periods of good sun for some final verification of the solar panels' capability to produce power. Like I said, the Earth sun's not as strong as the orbit sun, but we do get some good good readings when it is shining brightly here in Texas. And one of the things we were looking at in addition was the panel temperatures, because there's a discrepancy between actual temperature and what the telemetry says, and that's a conversion that Fox-to-Lem does, so we got those readings so that we can make sure we get that conversion correct, so that when it's in orbit, sending down live telemetry, we know what the temperature really is. There's a formula for it, of course, coming from the RTD through the circuit, but, well, can you all say, crap, I forgot to put the transmit antenna stowed? Ha! Okay, that's what I get for talking. So here's the transmit antenna. It does not have much fishing line on the end, so stowing it could be interesting. as I it, of course, is much longer than the receive antenna. As a matter of fact, about 19 inches, I believe. Don't hold me to that, but you can also look it up in all of our Fox paperwork. Now this guy, I think I can probably bring it around and tape it to the -Z side there. And that ought to provide the stowing of the transmit antenna. So it wasn't as hard as I thought. But the honest truth is, I'm not really good at working with tiny stuff, so that's why I don't have anything to do with what's inside these things. This is about as small as I can work. Alright then, now the transmit antenna is stowed. You can see, now that's not for flight, like I said. I've just got it taped off here for shipping. But it is making contact there so that when I run the pre-flight init, it will be able to read it and say, yeah, that's making contact, so we're good with that. Now I'll put the panel cover back on. The lug cap on tape. But it doesn't always love me. As you see, the edge of the desk is littered with bits. If I didn't cut it straight or whatever, you know. Because sometimes it's hard to get a hold of with these gloves. There we go. And come on. That piece right there. Two more pieces and we're secured. And there you have it. Last tape. Alright. Now, we have all of the solar panel covers on. This is RadFxSat, ready for shipping. But like I said, first I'll have to do a little test, or actually procedure that we call the pre-flight init. So that when it goes in for the shock testing, it thinks it's in the P-pod on the rocket. By the way, this is the engineering model, minus the experiments. Sent those back to Vanderbilt the other day. So really it's kind of waiting for more experiments. We'll get the Fox-1 boards and be adding those to it, the Fox-1 experiments and the new linear transponder stuff. The rest of it stays the same, essentially, as the rest of the Fox-1 bus, so we just reuse the engineering model with a few new parts. Okay. Now I'll try a tweet. I forgot I can do it on the PC here, huh? If I can remember how to do it on the PC. Ah. Okay. Here's the procedure. Here is my ULA pen. Here I go. Pre-flight init. Concur. Step 1. Well, yeah, I'll just take you through the whole thing with me. The purpose of the document is to outline the procedure for the final pre-flight initialization for the RadFxSat CubeSat, IHU. Blah, blah, blah. What is tested? The CubeSat is set for initial state, ready for deploy into orbit. And then there are but exactly 18 steps. Well, and some of those are sub-steps that we go through to make sure it's initialized and thinks it's in the rocket, ready to be deployed. That way when we take it and we do the shock testing and the shake and the bake, it is as if it is being tested on the rocket, which is exactly what those tests are all about. So, concur that it's in physical flight configuration. The antennas are stowed to the extent that I could. We'll be doing another pre-flight init, just in case you're wondering. We do tests after each environmental test, therefore we do several pre-flight inits, but it's also the last thing we do. So the fact that the antennas aren't tied down is not relevant to this. It's the fact that we need to tell the IHU to think that it's ready for launch. And then Bob will tie the antennas down, as I said, before he sends it off for shock. So it's in flight configuration, except the RBF pin is installed. And the solar panel covers may be installed, which they are. I'm going to attach the umbilical battery tender USB cable to the umbilical port. I'm going to attach that to the PC, the UPT that is, which it already is because that's the way it is in Fox Labs here. The procedure is written for testing at the various environmental facilities as well. So we've got a check here. It is sometime in the afternoon here. We'll call it 14:09. It is 9:15 of 16. And it's checked to the PC. Make sure that the switch is in the off position. Check. Plug it into the wall socket and observe the green power supply indicator. Check. Move the UBT power charge switch to the on position. Check. Just, let's see, it's still 14:09. Verify that the beeper is silent. In other words, the satellite doesn't think that it's been deployed. check. So we verify that the beeper is silent. If the beeper was beeping, we would turn off the power. Open a terminal window on the PC. And connect to the satellite. Check. In the terminal window, type V to verify that we're in bootloader, and type A to exit bootloader, and close the terminal window. Now we wait about 20 seconds for the IHU to boot. You should hear a little beep when it boots up. You won't, I will. There it is. And also Windows makes the little device connected sound, so that's at 1411. Open a terminal window again and connect to the IHU. Done. I verify that by typing a V to look at the firmware version. Now, in the terminal window, type preflight init and press enter. Verify the following responses. So, preflight init enter. That was at 1411. Telemetry min-max and MRAM is initialized. Reset count is 0. Set to start in safe mode and autosave allowed on low voltage. Check. DSP overflow count is 0. Check. Non-fatal error count is 0. Check. Weighted on orbit flag is set to no. Check. CRC calculated for init code and full code. Check. All variables initialized and ready for flight. Check. Type get status and enter. And we'll call it 1413 now. Verify the following responses. Get status. The satellite is in safe mode. Check. Radiation telemetry mode is true. Check. The on-orbit flag is false. Check. Enter the command get antenna status. And verify that the transmit antenna is not deployed. Check. The receive antenna is not deployed. Check. That means I did a good job in making sure that it contacted the terminals when I wrapped it up. That's about it. Move the UBT power charge switch to off. Actually, I'm going to shut down the terminal window first because it's going to lose it anyway. Power charge switch is set to off. Disconnect the umbilical from the satellite. Check. And disconnect the wall outlet. That's only if you're out at one of the facilities. It stays plugged in all the time, as I said, in Fox Labs. So, we passed the pre-flight init. I'm going to do one more thing, though, before I box it up. I'm going to plug the umbilical in again and turn on the voltmeter. 4.1 volts on the battery, so it was charging out in the sun there today. That's good. And that's a good enough charge to send it off for the shock testing and all. Like to have it above 3.9. Although when it's launched, who knows if it will actually be that high, but at least if we have that good of a voltage when we test it, we know that we'll be able to reveal if anything failed. So, here we go. RadFxSat, all zipped up, ready to ship. As I said, this will go to Bob Davis, our mechanical engineer. He will tie the antennas in the official flight not, he will do what's called a CubeSat acceptance checklist, which checks all of the volumes and makes sure that everything's within the CubeSat envelope, and then he'll ship it to Tyvek. So here we go. We'll take the official, let's see, is that the RadFx bag or is this the, we've got two bags here. This one looks a lot more beat up, so it must be the engineering model. So we'll use this one. Giant anti-static bag. This is where RadFxSat will spend a lot of its life now. Goes in this bag for shipping. It goes in this bag after we're done with the environmental tests, and it stays in this bag until I take it out and put it on the launcher. So it's kind of the home. Now, before I ship it, let's make sure we got the covers on, we got the RBF pin inserted, we've got the antennas tied down. Not much else to do. We'll pick it up and insert it into the bag. Slide it in. And then fold it up very nicely. To the extent that I can do that. Take a little bit more of the Kapton tape. Oh, I lost it. There we go. Voila! Machine is ready to go. You know, I think just for grins and good luck, I'm going to write RadFxSat on here. Fox-1 B. Alright then. Now, we get the official, one of the official, Fox CubeSat shipping containers. Seen here. A little bit of extra padding in here for various configurations that we have shipped around. And we will there. Drop it in the box, in a sense. Come on. Stay there or not? There she goes. Lots of extra gloves. Now we need to add the official AMSAT emergency kit, which has the nitrile gloves, a spare RBF pin, and of course the Fox mascot. Where is that spare RBF pin? Bob? I think Bob will need to supply another spare RBF pin. Somebody stole it. So we'll just dump some of these things in here for padding. And this guy goes right there. Those could go right there. Click, click. Put a lock on it. Put it in a box. And it's going to FedEx here very shortly. That's it, boys and girls. RadFxSat in a box, ready to go. So I hope you enjoyed that. And when I get it back after the shock testing, we'll do another live shot when we give it the post-shock functional and aliveness tests. That'll be in a couple weeks though, so stay tuned for further tweets and what have you, and thanks for tuning in from Fox Labs, N0JY. Bye.